Hello, I want to make a video about the subject anger. I've been thinking about this now for a very long time, for many years. I have a lot of anger in me, and it often comes up, it often snarls up, and it shoots up, and it comes out. Sometimes I feel like I didn't even see it coming up. I wasn't consciously aware. I hope this doesn't freeze up now, because looks like the synchronicity between video and sound is off quite a bit. We'll see. So then the picture freezes in, but whatever. It's my Chromebook right now, and it's already a few years old. So, but anyway, I prefer to make videos without introductions, without editing, and without putting anything cartoonish or whatever into it. My videos are about philosophy and talking and psychology, and I don't want any distractions in it. So, and I don't want to make it pretty. This is not. The subject is not pretty usually, So that's not what this is for. Okay, not trying to be pretty in any way. So my artwork is pretty. So, but right now I'm not making artwork. Right now I am talking about the seriousness of existence. And existence is pretty darn serious, Unless you're on drugs, but then it will come crashing down with the seriousness in the end will catch up with you, whether you like it or not. So if you're on drugs, you can hold it up for quite a while. The honky-doriness and the fun and everything is hilarious. Everything. For someone on drugs, everything is a joke, everything is fun, everything is hilarious. Even if someone is suffering, I see people in the chat rooms. They are high, that's all that matters to them. Whether someone else suffers, the koala bears, with burn wounds, to them what matters is being high. It's like me, as long as I feel good, that attitude. But the problem with that is you're going to face karma sooner or later, because sooner or later the drugs aren't going to work anymore, because the brain chemistry got dependent on it, and then you'll need higher and higher doses to just keep you halfway calm. The chamomile tea isn't going to dig it anymore. You're going to have to come cold turkey all the way crashing down, and that's the karma. That's when everything is accumulated, and that hurts real bad. That's also when the emotional trauma all comes up in one piece, and it will be traumatic again, because you haven't prepared, you haven't been talking about it, you haven't been dealing with it. If you take drugs or drink alcohol, you are not dealing with any of that stuff. Okay. And most people are also not prepared mentally, psychologically to be seeing other dimensions through substances that open up that discrimination ribbon that we have in the brain. We have a function in the brain near the brain stem, I think, in the limbic system. And that thing is called the discrimination ribbon. And they call it like this. Dr. Hinderk Emmerich, I believe, called it that way. I think he discovered it. And so this discrimination ribbon is there for a reason, because even here in the 3D realm, we could potentially see other dimensions. We could. Some people can. I can. And some people see auras. Some people see right through someone. Right through the face. Right through the eyes. The door to the soul. The door to their mind state and to their motives and all of that. Not very many, but there are people. And in order to navigate through life halfways properly and deal with the 3D realm, which means everything is in 3D, three-dimensional. Everything is, it's like a 3D coordinate system, like a cube. So not just X and Y, but there's another one, X, Y, and Z, I believe it's called. Z is the depths. So then you have the cube coordinate system. And that's what we live in. We live in the 3D cube coordinate system. It's not a cube, but it becomes the only way one can even do any kind of measurement is to have these graphs, these geometrical graphs, in order to get somewhat an overview and get it ordered. So we could not be walking through the 3D if we were constantly bombarded with all the other dimensions. And there are infinitely many dimensions around us, in us, above us, and into space. So, and everywhere. And that's where the word becomes a problem, the word everywhere. Because everywhere doesn't really exist. I mean, it is just a logical conclusion, It's simple. It's not because I'm somewhat like super insightful. It's just a logical conclusion. The word everywhere, like if you really look at it, we have to use it to use language to even express things, to even try to understand things. But we have to use the word everywhere. So that, but the word everywhere only pertains to a limited space. Like you have a room, and within this room is limited space. So you can say everywhere in this room there is the 3D. There are unlimited dimensions. But everywhere in the infinite cosmos, that word doesn't work anymore. Okay, because in the infinite cosmos, we go outside of your room, outside of that everywhere confinement of that room, venture out of the balcony door, and you float up into space. Okay, then you keep going, and there is no such thing as everywhere. So because it's endless, it keeps on going. Okay, and because it keeps on going, there is no everywhere or everything. There is no finality. There is no end. Okay. And there's also no beginning. Okay. Most people cannot wrap their heads around that. It's too difficult. They've also been conditioned. Religious people in particular have been severely conditioned. They have been conditioned into duality, which means me versus you, our room against the other room, our center pitted against the other center. So it's always a front. That's how people have been conditioned. That's also the reason why they have been conditioned like this, is also because that is part of our biology as well. So that's why the religions also evolved in that directions, in the direction of biology and what's already built into us. If you watch a squirrel on the balcony eat sunflower seeds, you see yourself in that squirrel. That's you. It's just different modalities. Squirrel eats sunflower seeds, hits the rat on the back. Hey, get out of that feeding dish with the sunflower seed. I've seen this. Ruthless. And we go, oh, the cute little rat, the cute little squirrel, they're both so cute, but they don't get along. The bigger guy hits the smaller guy, because he thinks he can get away with it. Right? So that's how it works. The bigger squirrel, also there was a male asshole in that family, and he would not let the females eat. And they were skinny and small, and he was real big and fat. I've even seen it in hummingbirds. So this happens. It's part of evolution. It's not good. It's definitely not good. Okay? And I dare to judge that. Some people say, well, you can't judge nature. You can't judge evolution. Yes, I can. Of course. Okay. Evolution doesn't have judgment. That's why the bigger guy eats and chases out the smaller guy. Bigger guys eat the smaller guys also. That happened all the way since the first amino acid. That's biology. That's evolutionary biology. That's how things evolved. There's no judgment. There's no good or bad in it. It just happened that way. It's painful. It hurts. It hurts for those who are the victims, of course. Well, what I like in forests and in natural places, what I like about the evolution in those places is that an animal that's sick or injured or hurting or in pain will scream, because that's the natural reaction of being in pain. And when they scream, it will alert a predator animal, sometimes even within their own families, if they are predator animals, like lions. It happened. So, and then the predator animal will put that being out of misery. So that's the mercy of predator life. So And it also evolved all the way into the human ape, of course. But the problem with the human ape is that they have started to create very unnatural environments. They have also completely disturbed the balance of the natural environments. They have created artificial living. Things, people are kept alive through technology, and then the religion comes in, which the religion then it's a perversion, actually, from the original biological states of existence. So the religion comes in and says some BS, creates some some gods that were painted in the image of themselves, because the ego likes to be a god. And it becomes more and more perverted. The Christian God with the white beard, it's also the grandfather, as if the grandfather knows more than the grandchild. Certainly not the case, right? But that's how it is laid out, and it's all completely twisted and unnatural. And then comes the slave morality that Friedrich Nietzsche was so angry about. The slave morality that twists everything around, that says that we need to keep someone alive as long as we can. And it's also in constant contradiction and double standard. If you pay attention to civilization and the unnatural ways of reasoning and the religiousness pieces that are woven into that, even in societies that pride themselves of having done away with religion, they still have that woven into it, and they don't even realize it. So they'll keep people alive. My husband's mother had to suffer from that. In nature, she would have been mercy killed long before she had to go into real extreme physical suffering and discomfort. She had diabetes. My husband nursed her for over 10 years. His brothers didn't care about anything. His father didn't care about anything. Paul was the one who nursed his mother, cared her, looked after her, fed her, changed diapers, did everything for her. So they had to. It is unimaginably horrible. She couldn't even move her body anymore. They had to get some kind of like a crane that would lift her up and move her around, and my husband would patiently, diligently do this for her, and he would do this indefinitely because he loved her. That's love. That is real love. That's real altruism. So then when she had to go into the hospital and was never coming out of the hospital anymore, she ended up on life support. And I don't blame my husband for not being able to terminate her life, because in his mind he thought, what if she comes back into consciousness? I want my mother back, right? So he is not the one to blame in this. I understand his feelings. I understand when you want to prolong a dog's life or a family member's life. And when you think, what if they come back into consciousness, and what if she will recover and can bring her back home and she can enjoy another couple of years or so. Enjoy. So in nature, this is all a lot quicker and a lot more merciful in this way, because most predatory animals, they instinctively go to the aorta and slash that up, and that goes very quick. So not even a vampire could deliver that kind of mercy to the aorta. So because that would probably just be like a mosquito bite. So yeah, but there's mosquitoes. There are little animals that can bite a bigger animal that can get infected. So there's a lot of suffering in nature, of course, as well. But overall, that's just my personal view. Nature is more merciful than the human species in general, with twisting things into unnatural situations, making things very unnatural. Like, for example, it's so the Christian always have this saying, "Are you want to play God?" But then they go to a doctor right after saying that. They go to a doctor and want to have in vitro fertilization done. It's like, are you playing God now? You just accused someone else of it. So it's like a super double standard in all of this. So they get fertility treatments. Are you playing God? Why do you ignore your body when your body said no? So lots and lots of double standard and contradictions at all times. That's what I observe constantly. This is the human species, the average human can't think beyond this room that they are in. So they can't think further than that. That they think in finalities. They think in very artificial ways. So and very twisted, convolutedly twisted ways, and in double standard and in contradictions. And they don't notice the contradictions. So they think in terms of denial. Denial is always there. They think in terms of whatever their ego likes, wants in that moment, whatever their brain craves in that moment. You can hook someone up to electronic stimulation of certain parts of the brain, and the person will say, I'm craving this or that right now. Or they get sexual needs, or they get this or whatever, any kind of, or they feel like they need to move their body. So it's this it's so puppeteered, everything. The corporations use that 100%. They don't have electronic probes in your brain, but they can do it by using your fear that you already have. And then they couple that fear with not liking solar panels, or they couple that fear with something completely neutral, right? Like Jesus Christ would never be going against solar panels. He would go, cool, my gosh, cool inventions, great. If you told him about this 2,000 years ago. So he would be very amazed about what Elon Musk has developed. He would say, Elon, you are the modern day, you are the future man, the future reincarnation of Noah. So, and maybe that's what he is. So, but the religious people, what they twist it because the corporation has twisted it and presented it to them. Twisted, and like they'll say, if you are afraid of hell, so they use your fear of hell, then if you're afraid of hell, you better not talk to an environmentalist. Okay? You better not listen to them, because then you might go to hell. But the average person will go, oh, I can't talk to an environmentalist because then I go to hell. Okay? So it's that easy to manipulate them. They use your fear, and they hook something up to that fear that is previously or normally very, very neutral to that. It's like saying, whatever. Let's like saying the Cookie Monster cannot be. I don't know what kind of example you can't make a hat out of it, because then you might cause sexual thoughts or what. Yeah, I'm just pulling something out of the air, So, so the Cookie Monster, this is not a cookie, it's just a cushion. The Cookie Monster has nothing to do with sexual thoughts. Right? These are completely unrelated subjects, has nothing to do with one another. Okay? So, unless you find this sexual. Right? But I'm just using this as an example. I should have used a different example. But neither one they're neutral with each other, right? But the corporate agenda is capable of installing, particularly with repetition, installing in your brain the idea that the Cookie Monster has something to do with sexual thoughts. Or if you make a hat out of it and you put it on your head, right? So, that's what they do all the time. So they will use your fear of hell, and they will threaten you, they blackmail you, and say, don't talk to an environmentalist because then you go to hell. Okay, hell and the environmentalists they have nothing to do with one another. Okay, it's completely neutral from each other. Okay, so just like this jacket here is completely neutral, and this jacket is not related to my hair or my hair color. But the corporate agenda knows how to couple things, how to link them up, and with repetition and with a lot of biased talking and a lot of fear mongering and a lot of hate and a lot of dualism, through talk radio and videos. Alex Jones is guilty of that massively. I don't know whether he's aware of it or not, whether he has taken money from the oil industry to slander environmentalism or not. Then, on the other hand, he did more research. He got together with more and more interesting and better and more intelligent people as time went by. And then he changed his neuronal connections. So then he started to understand more, see more behind it, more and more and more, instead of staying stuck with the Christian conspiracy theories. So, but as soon as he started to dig more into the real issues, the real manipulation that's coming from the corporate agenda, as soon as he started to do this, that's when they silenced him. Before that, he was welcomed. He was a welcome tool. He was a manipulation tool of the corporate agenda. He fell into that. So he thought he was doing good. But then he learned more and more and more about it. Then he started to really point the finger in the right directions. He started to follow the money trail, where who benefits financially in the end. That's when they got, oh, we got to shut him up now. Okay, and that's what they did. The public didn't say anything. Everyone that would scream censorship in other regards suddenly wouldn't say anything. That's okay suddenly. It doesn't affect them, so it affects someone else. But then it's always okay. And so people think like this are human apes. They are no different to the squirrel hitting the rat on the back. It's just more convoluted and more twisted and more selfish, the human ape. And with more abstract thinking that is misused and so on and on and on and on and on. And convoluted ego and convoluted fear of the ego, that becomes paranoid, that will snap at the drop of a hat, that feels constantly looked down on and victimized, and so on and on and on. And out of that comes war, gang memberships, street violence, rape, insane religion and cults and violence, masochism, sadism, all of this coming from the brain not seeing the things for what they actually are, not seeing themselves, no introspection ability. Why, does he like women's feet and stepping on his face or whatever? I'm just, I'm trying to use the not so harsh examples right now, right? I mean, the harshness of human cruelty seems to be endless. And I've seen this on the internet, and there are videos where you don't even want to write anything underneath, where you don't even want them to see your comment. You just want to flag the video, you want to block that channel, and you want to block every sadistic person that has commented underneath. So, and just get the hell out of there. So, yeah, it goes. What I've seen on the internet, it's like I open the door, kind of like, to a certain realm, and there are millions and millions of masochistic women. Suddenly, if you just hit a specific video and you go, what's that all about? You go and you see, they want to be beaten. What? Like, you read one comment after another of millions of women that like to be beaten, that like to be sodomized. And as a total outsider dork, as I am, I'm like, it's just sitting there with an open mouth, right? Like, just shaking my head in disbelief. It's like, what? How? I mean, seriously? I mean, what? This is happening? This is going on? And yeah, apparently that's what's happening. Okay. And apparently in the sadomaso world, apparently 80% of masochists are women, and the majority of sadists are men. And this also falls into this, like what this one guy said, that he feels like he's a lion when he hurts someone else's feelings. That makes him feel good. Yes. Then he feels powerful. That's like, I mean, that's toddler rationality, you know. And it's all of this is all, it's all part of evolution, you know. It's this evolution is not an intelligent thing. It's not an intelligent design. It's very stupid. It's a very stupid non-design. It's a stupid evolving, and it's just a random whoever, you know, whatever makes it. And then with this religiousness and this artificial environment that we have created, now violent criminals are being released back onto the streets because of religion, because of religious thinking, you know. So people that apparently don't realize that humans made these gods in their own image, they twist it around and say, oh, those criminals, they're in, I don't even want to repeat what they say. I don't even want to I don't even want to put these words in my mouth, you know. So, and then they go like, people can change, you know. We got to give them a chance. We got to give them endless, indefinite chances, and they will do indefinite raping and killing and torturing of animals and humans, but you give them indefinite more chances. So, okay, maybe that's all part of evolution. That's how the population reduces itself again. But in the meantime, a lot of living beings are suffering hell. So obviously, if you look at it from a rational point of view, letting violent criminals out is not working. Okay? It just isn't. It's as simple as that. It doesn't work. Biologists, psychologists, neuroscientists that have worked in this field, you know, that have done tests on violent criminals, on psychopaths, sadistic people, they found definitely some interesting brain anatomy. So the brain anatomy is different in a sadistic person than it is in a person who's a giver, who's kind, an altruistic person. Very vast difference. There's a formation called the amygdala. Everything. Most of it comes in pairs in the brain, so it has to do with balance and equilibrium. And amygdala are two almond-shaped formations that are next to each other. And the corpus callosum plays some role in this as well. And there's a formation called the mirror effect, where you can see yourself in someone else. Okay, this is not non-existent in psychopaths. So they cannot see themselves in another. They see the other only as a means to advance themselves or as an enemy. So they see women as enemies, and so they want to beat him and rape him and kill him. So and that is going up all the time. That mentality all the time. The altruistic people stop having children. The empaths, they don't have children anymore. Like on average, no, I'm not saying everyone, but the vast majority. They don't have children because they don't want to put a living being into this uncertainty. The ones that don't care, the ones that are on drugs, the ones that are sadistic or masochistic, they throw litters all the time. Completely recklessly, they don't use birth control, they don't have abortions. They put suffering children into this world, particularly into their families that are completely broken and dysfunctional, where the husband beats the wife all the time and the child has to see that. I heard of, there was a woman with autism. She said in her book, she wrote that she and her brother, they were hiding in the closet upstairs, in her mother's closet, and they closed the door and they held each other's. The girl closed the ears of the little brother that was just 2 years old, like this. And that's how they sat for hours in that closet, so that they would not hear the screams and the torment of the parents, and the throwing of things and the violence. Those are the people that have children and that perpetuate the suffering. And then also the genes of the violence will be perpetuated. And then it perpetuates itself in the wrong direction. That's the opposite of eugenics. So, but the corporate agenda, they will slander eugenics to the public. They will say this is unacceptable, unethical. It's not okay. But apparently for them it's ethical to let violent criminals on the street so they can continue doing violent things. I don't think that these people actually, they're not even aware of that complete contradiction in themselves. They're not aware of it. I see all of this. I see what's going on. I'm concerned. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the future. I don't want to live in this world. I have been severely suicidal. It goes back and forth. I will never admit in front of the camera that I'm suicidal because I don't want social workers coming to my door. Okay. But this is the truth. I'm not suicidal right now in this moment. So, anyway, but I have been suicidal since my dog Dave died, since December 10. Very badly suicidal. I tried to end my life twice. And with law of attraction, law of attraction is whatever you are dwelling in, you just get presented with more of the same stuff. That's the law of attraction. It's a universal mechanism. But that shouldn't scare us, and that certainly shouldn't scare us into forcing ourselves to be okay when we're not, because you can't kid your own body. Denial works only to a specific degree, and then it comes crashing down, just like the drug use. Denial is very similar in its function as drug addiction. So it comes crashing down at some point, because you can't be constantly in denial. People that are in denial of their feelings, they get physically sick with so-called lethal and incurable illnesses, immune dysfunction and stuff like that. And then they will demonize those illnesses, when in fact the illnesses are just symptoms of something the person has done to himself. So you can't be demonizing that. It's like demonizing the table that you just walked against and hit yourself on. Or that's like saying that the wind is bad, that it blew my car over. It's what Eckhart Tolle used as an example. You can't demonize anything, matter of fact. You cannot even demonize the ego, which is really what is the demon, what people call demon. Ego energy. Can't even demonize that, because and Lindsay is very right about this. So the Oriental girl that talks about light workers and twin flames, she's very right about this. That ultimately it all is just an attempt to protect oneself, which is an attempt to love oneself. But it's a misunderstanding, of course, and it is going in the wrong direction. But it is meant for the ego energies are only mean to protect that person from being hurt again. So, and that comes in form of all kinds of terrible things: anger, hate, rage, war, including sadomaso, all of that, all of these incredible, like these I don't know how to call it, like bizarre proliferations and contortions over contortions of the where it originally started, the pain. So it just unfolds, or it just escalates, it inflames itself into more and more convoluted act outs. Okay, that's all it is. And then by the time it gets to a certain level, the person has no idea anymore why that is, why she feels that way, or why he wants to hurt a woman. He thinks, this is just my preference. Yeah, why is that your preference? What caused this? What caused it to escalate? Some people will say, it's just genetic. Yeah, genetics plays into it, but it would not escalate into something like this unless you've had severe childhood trauma. Okay, so yes, one person with childhood trauma will become someone who rescues animals out of factory farms, and the other will become a sadist who will be welcomed by the factory farms. They welcome sadists in there too, because then they have their workers that don't complain, right? They like what they're doing. So this is commercialized sickness. So corporatism favors the cruel human, and it escalates itself into further and further disconnect from the world around us and everything. So, very tragic and very sad. In most humans, childhood trauma leads to extreme misery and suffering. It leads to, and I'm talking now about the negative ones, where the drug addiction or the alcoholism is still the best form, and the sadism the worst. So, and then everything in between, and mixes and melanges and so on. The one who's outside of that group is the one who had been traumatized and is still an empath and altruistic. Okay, so those are very few individuals. And the people that have not been traumatized are very, very, very few. From those that would have become bad people, sadistic and so on. And the ones that have not been traumatized and would have either way become an altruistic person, they are so few that probably 1 in a million, maybe less than that. So, but they are very, 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 very few altruistic people, whether they're traumatized or not traumatized. That is a genetic thing, and so they cannot be made bad. But most people will be made bad through the childhood trauma. Okay? That's how it works. Okay, it's in this ratio and relationship. Okay, so just wanted to clarify this again. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of studying. I study things with a critical mind. I don't just accept what a professor says to me or a book says to me. So I go to the depths with that, and I investigate it for myself and find out, does this hold true, in those circumstances or in this situation? And I just want to evaluate all of it and find out, are there differences between people? Are there genetic differences? Yes, there are. Okay. So, and that's just part of evolution. So why should the human species be outside of? No, matter of fact is, the human species is zipping into 2 different species right now. Okay. So the majority are, I don't want to be unfair with the title of those, with the names. I'll call them, if we want to give them a Latin name, Homo brutalis. Okay, so that is the majority of humans that are splitting in one direction. Okay, the other ones, it's a tiny minority. It's very, very few, like Elon Musk and Ingrid Newkirk and Paul Watson. Ingrid Newkirk didn't want children, so Paul Watson and Elon Musk had children. Okay. So they continue with the evolution I don't continue with evolution. Okay, I'm a dead end street. Voluntarily, I don't want. I don't want to put life into this world, suffering and in agony and uncertainty. Paul Watson, Elon Musk are very, very altruistic people, and they have mated with altruistic partners, altruistic women. So that's eugenics. I mean, that's not like a governmental imposed eugenics, but that is evolutionary eugenics. You means good, a good characteristic, beneficial for life on Earth that is being propagated, you know. And a lot of people will hate me for this, but I support Elon Musk and his good wife having children, you know. So I'm an anti-natalist. In general, I will say, yeah, it's not good. It's not safe, you know. It's not safe. It's not safe for them either. How should it be any safer for them, for their children? But it is safer for their children in terms of having good parents. It is safer in terms of them having also high intelligence. They're functional. They have money. They can protect themselves. They have guards. So for them, it's better. In general, I would say, yeah. I don't know if I was the wife of Elon Musk. For a long time in my life, I would have said, okay, under those circumstances, I would have one child with someone like Elon Musk. But that has changed in recent years because of my activism and because of what I see in the world. What I see in the world has definitely shaped my outlook on existence. As an activist, I see unimaginable cruelty cases, and some of the cruelty stuff is on massive scales, you know, like in factory farms, in halal slaughter. The entire Islamic religion is barbaric, brutal. It's psychopathic. It's gruesome. Okay, absolutely gruesome. And so, through that, I would probably not want to put a child in the world, even with a man like that. And I am not talking race here, okay? He could be of any color. He just happens to be this, what he is, okay? What matters is what's inside the brain, how he functions, okay? The altruism is what matters to me. I would only have an altruistic partner. Only. My husband is altruistic. Okay. So that's the only way. All the other guys fell off the wayside. So most of them didn't last very long at all. So I had an Iranian boyfriend once. He kicked me as soon as he started to become violent. He was out of my life. Okay, there was no way. Yeah, even though I felt sorry for him, I knew that he was lonely and suffering. But I do not tolerate violence. So. And I have been date raped by 2 black men. And when someone violates me and does not respect my wishes, they are out of my life. Okay, I'm done with that. Or if someone plays cruel mind games with me, they're out of my life. Okay. I don't want that. So I only tolerate the best. I only tolerate altruistic men. And that is my right. That's my birthright. Okay. So, but I will say I'm okay with Elon and his wife having that's what their choice was, and I think he has 5 children. I don't know, something like. It's quite a lot of children with different women also, and I don't know whether these women are actually altruistic, but he wouldn't be with them if they were terrible, right? I mean, that's just logic to me. So, and I think that I don't know the children, so I can't make a judgment on it. But for him, just in general, saying this person, Elon Musk, he's an altruistic person. Okay, he's Buddha level. It's like the highest soul developmental level before it merges with the infinite cosmos, and then it does not. That's what they call nirvana in Sanskrit. Brahman. Okay. That's where it merges with the infinite cosmos, and then there's no more individual soul. Okay, it has made it. Is then part of the blue God. Okay. So this is a stage right before that, and it shows. He manifests in a physical being in this 3D realm, and it shows in his actions. Okay, he's trying to save the world, trying to save the planet, all the beings, trying to alleviate suffering as much as he can, developing amazing solar panels. The oil industry is against it, so they use your fear and your religion to turn you against it. Okay, so see through this. I don't know. I can't force anyone to see through it. Maybe most people just can't, but just cannot see through it. But at least I make these videos. Maybe one person will get it. I don't know. So the Buddha level soul and many other good souls that are working on renewable energy sources, and particularly the future is solar. So, and I've been talking, but I want to say that when I see the cruelty in the world, it brings up incredible hate in me, incredible hate. And when I have interactions, communication with violent people, I get incredible hate. And when I see people that will take the side of these criminals, and that will take the side of criminal religions, then I become so angry that I've become so angry recently about this that I fell out of my own promise to myself that I made to myself to only talk rationally and with politeness. So I fell out of it. And I'm infinitely sorry for that. Okay. So I am not a god. I'm not an Elon Musk. I'm not a Buddha level soul. Okay. I'm an indigo soul. Okay. There's somewhere right in the middle of soul development. I have a long way to go. Okay. But my mind understands it. I sit down, I lean back, I close my eyes, I breathe, and I go, okay, this isn't going anywhere. Okay, this anger that comes out of me, however justified, a lot of wars have been fought with this idea of I'm I'm right and the other one is wrong, right? I mean, even if you are right, you you'll still create war if you go to war. That's just a logical conclusion. So I don't want war. I don't want Cold War. I don't want psycho war. I don't want physical war. I don't want suffering. I don't want the worst criminal to suffer either. Even though when I'm really, really, really angry, that changes in my neuronal connections. Okay. But if I come back to ground zero and I reflect on it, I can clearly see it, and I know 100% for sure that my anger will not go anywhere. It will just hurt someone, you know. And I hurt a woman's feelings, an Iranian lady. And because it made me so mad that she was sticking up for this violent religion. If I step back, I can see this is how she has been conditioned. Right? The very thing she accused me of, she accused me of being tribalistic. Like, I can explain this to you, I studied that in psychology. You are being tribalistic. You're seeing things, the other person that's different, you go against it. She hasn't even listened to anything I have ever said to her in these dialogues that I had with her. So all of that made me very angry, obviously. If she had listened to anything I'd ever said, she would have seen that I am not tribalistic. And if she would sit down in meditation, maybe she would understand that she's being severely tribalistic. Okay, she's not even willing to see anything, any bad things in her own religion. She'll just blank it out. That's what it's like. Anosognosia. There's a word for that. Anosognosia. It's like completely blanking something out, like deleting something. You have a photo and there's something bad happening in this one corner, and you just take one of these coloring pens that you have in color programs and on the computer, and you take the white one and you just scribble over it. You just deleted it. There's a white spot now. A blank spot, like denial spot. This is anosognosia. You have erased that from your consciousness, that your religion does some bad things. And you did that because you don't want to be aware that there are some bad things happening in your religion. So if your religion was about people that come together and eat vegan kebab or vegan flatbread. I ate a lot of that in Germany. We had many Turkish people that sold very good food. I didn't go against. I had a Turkish boyfriend. I didn't go against these Turkish people because they sold food that is different to the German food, traditionally different to the German tradition food. Why should I go against that? That wouldn't make any sense. Maybe there are people that do that go against it. If you had listened to anything I had said to you, you would know that that is not how I am, obviously. And I studied psychology also for several years at the university, and then I really picked up by studying it on my own, and by studying it with a critical mind. And I've always been listening to lectures with a very critical mind. You have to. Okay, you have to, absolutely. You can't have anosognosia if you want to make the world a better place. If you consider yourself an animal rights activist, you have to look at things with a critical mind. You can't be blanking out the bad part of your religion because you identify yourself with that religion. So it doesn't work that way. No, you have to step out of that religion and you have to look at it for what it is. Okay? And you have to say, no, I'm a good person. I want nothing to do with this. Okay? You are you, precious living being. Okay? Why do you need an identification with something like this? So this is what I have to say to this. Okay? This is my rational response to you. I have responded irrationally angry to you. Okay, so, and for that I apologize. I feel infinitely sorry. I felt infinitely sorry the night when I went to bed already. It caused me sharp pain in my stomach, thinking about the way I talked to you, the language I used. Okay, it was out of extreme hatred, but it's not personally against you, the person, the living being. Okay. I love all living beings. I want you to be well. Okay, I really, really do. My anger is at all people that are sticking up for violent criminals. You know, Gavin Newsom letting violent criminals out because of his very twisted religious views they're totally irrational. And anyone who sticks up for Islam because they don't want to be labeled Islamophobe, because they want to fit into society, so they all put up with anything, including sadomasochism, because they don't want to be labeled bigot. All of this is irrational thinking and acting. Rational, kind-hearted, altruistic thinking is questioning all of these things, institutions, cults, religions, societies, fads, and so on. Then you are a critical thinker. Then you're not a tribalist. Okay? I hope that makes a lot of sense. So I've been very angry and I feel very bad. I own up to it. Okay? I feel bad about having become so angry, having allowed myself to become so angry. I've been very mean to other people too, in the chat room. Okay, it doesn't. Those are violent criminals, but being mean to them is not. It just confirms what they already want to believe, right? It's like, oh, she's my enemy. You know, there you go. So it doesn't do any good. A war is not solving a war, obviously. You know, this has become, at least intellectually, really crystal clear now for my own life. Okay, so I'm not a god. I make mistakes. I own the mistakes. I apologize for it. I want to do it better. So now I'll do it better. For me, it's touch and go right now. My mental state is touch and go in terms of hatred and in terms of not wanting to be in this 3D realm anymore. So the grief is infinite. Okay. See it also, put yourself in my shoes, see it from my perspective, just for a moment. Okay. Maybe then you don't have to see me as the enemy anymore. Okay. And if we all can do this, we can shoot the hate into the sun's plasma and let the sun's plasma recycle the hate into wisdom and love. Okay, that's what I wanted to say in this video. You guys take care.